Good evening. This is Late Night Announcements. I am Researcher Well, filling in for Researcher Evans. The following information is intended for SCP Foundation employees only. Tonight we will be covering SCP-027 Vermin God, Object Class Euclid. SCP-027 Special Containment Procedures. The host of SCP-027, currently Subject 02702, is to be kept in a 5-meter by 5-meter containment cell with a graded raised floor connected to a strong vacuum system. All creatures removed from the subject's containment cell are to be incinerated, except for a small portion to be diverted for analysis and necropsy. The cell is to be cleaned and inspected for structural damage daily. Subject 027-02 must be monitored by at least 2 personnel at all times. Any unusual behavior or vital signs on the part of the subject or the appearance of any unusual species in the subject's vicinity must immediately be reported to Level 4 personnel. Security personnel assigned to SCP-027 must be inoculated against all known animal-borne pathogens and must be armed with tranquilizer guns with standing orders to subdue the subject if the need arises. Until SCP-027 is better understood, no personnel of Level 4 clearance or higher should approach within 200 meters of the subject. Description: SCP-027 appears to be a phenomenon of unknown source that seems to be tied to one human subject, currently 027-02, at a time. As host to SCP-027, Subject 027-02 is constantly surrounded by swarming vermin that are drawn to his location. The subject does not appear able to assert control over these creatures in any way, and is, in fact, prone to occasional attack from feral specimens. These creatures have also been known to attack personnel who approach too closely. Wherever the subject goes, an initial swarm of flying insects, such as gnats and flies, will start to form a cloud around him, usually within 2 to 3 minutes. Shortly thereafter, crawling animals, including lice, cockroaches, worms, spiders, data expunged, mice, and rats, will begin to appear. The longer the subject remains in a location, the more vermin will gather there. When the subject leaves a location, some of these creatures will follow, but most will disperse. SCP-027 has been known to transfer between hosts once upon the death of the first known host, Subject 02701. See Appendix 1 for more information. Since SCP-027 could likely repeat this feat upon the death of Subject 027-02. All high-value personnel should be kept far away from the current host until more about SCP-027 is understood. SCP-027 has also likely transferred between hosts an unknown number of times before containment. Research into potential previous hosts has commenced, with preliminary evidence suggesting that SCP-027 may have existed for at least redacted years. It is not known how SCP-027 chooses or attracts animals, or even what SCP-027 exactly is. The previous host never expressed having any sort of communication with a separate conscious entity. Analysis of the current host has been inconclusive at best. Appendix 1. Timeline of significant events. Date: 04, redacted, 19-9, redacted. Subject 027-01 is discovered in an abandoned warehouse outside, redacted, that had been completely overrun by rats, cockroaches, and other vermin, and is contained and cataloged as SCP-027. The subject is described as a Caucasian male in his late 30s, of average height, but gaunt, filthy, and covered in bites and scratches. The subject also shows symptoms of degraded mental health, evidence of heavy use of alcohol and illicit drugs, and signs of prolonged sleep deprivation. Date 10, redacted, 20, 0, redacted. Subject expires. Autopsy shows more than 70% of the subject's body, data expunged, a colony of rats nesting in the subject's abdomen for at least, redacted, generations. Date 10, redacted, 20, 0, redacted. Between 140 and 150 hours after the subject's death, Security Officer K, redacted, F, redacted, reports being awoken by breathing problems due to a large housefly having crawled up his nose, later shown to have laid eggs. Subsequent observations lead to categorization of Officer F, redacted, as Subject 027-02. The original host is reclassified as Subject 027-01, and SCP-027 is redefined. Data expunged. Appendix 2. Transcript of Interview 027-201. The following interview was conducted on 10, redacted, 20, 0, redacted. Shortly after Subject 027-02 was identified and transferred to the containment cell that housed Subject 027-01. Dr. Jameson. Good morning, Officer F. Redacted. How are you feeling? Subject 027-02. Scared. Confused. Mostly scared, though. Dr. Jameson. Understandable. Subject 027-02. And itchy. I feel like I need to shower all the damn time. Dr. Jameson. But what about inside? Do you feel anything different inside you, like a presence? Subject 027-02. Scratches head. No, I don't think I do. I haven't really noticed anything like that. Dr. Jameson. You haven't felt anything different since the original host died, besides the itching? Subject 027-02. No, I can't say I have. Dr. Jameson. What about any sort of voices or compulsions? Subject 027-02. Agitated. No, I haven't felt anything except bugs crawling all over me. I feel dirty and scared. And Doc, what about my family? You got to get this thing out of me so I can see them again. Dr. Jameson. Of course. We're going to do everything we can to get 027 out of you. God, I'm sorry. K. Redacted. Note, shortly after this interview took place, Dr. Jameson and several other members of the research team for SCP-027 were transferred to the SCP-1772 project. That was SCP-027. This has been Late Night Announcements. Thank you, Foundation employees. Stay safe and have a good night.